Remember words by reading essays. After the storm.
Today, we are going to study an article entitled After the Storm. First, let's listen to the passage from beginning to end to get a general understanding of the story.
The coastal town lay quiet after the typhoon. People's strength seemed eviscerated, yet neighbors supported each other unreservedly. Near the estuary, fishing boats lay broken, but life had to go on. The mayor called a meeting to discuss rational rebuilding measures. But young volunteers kept bandying words with the older fishermen, arguing over priorities. Donations arrived quickly, especially from a sought-after charity group, giving hope to the residents. It is tempting to think that we can rebuild overnight, one villager sighed, but resources are limited. A lucky few received a windfall of insurance payouts, while others had nothing. The reconstruction projects would span across several villages, and temporary shelters began to sprawl over the open fields. One documentary about the town became a smash hit, drawing nationwide sympathy. But not everyone was honest. Outsiders tried to con villagers by offering fake repair services. Worse, one flood too many made people suspicious of promises. In his hand, a fisherman carried a fat book of storm records, hoping lessons would be learned. Some officials looked contrite when accused of neglect, while others' corruption stories made citizens feel chilled to the bone. A few cheeky reporters even brazenly blamed the victims themselves. Meanwhile, certain construction companies just wanted to crank out cheap houses, showing complete elision with the rights of the poor. At night, a teenager sat by the ruins, lost in wool gathering, watching a child toss a twirling toy in the air. Social media was still full of drivel, but in the heart of the town, people quietly vowed to rebuild no matter how long it took.
Now, let's listen to the passage once again. This time, as we listen, I will pause occasionally to explain some key vocabulary and important phrases that are essential for understanding the text.
The coastal town lay quiet after the typhoon. People's strength seemed eviscerated.
Today, let's look at the word eviscerated as it appears in the essay. Literally, eviscerated means having the internal organs removed, which sounds extreme.
But in the text, no one is actually hurt that way. Right.
Exactly. Here it's used figuratively. It means the people's strength and spirit were completely drained after the typhoon.
Why not just say tired then?
Good question. Eviscerated is much stronger. It shows how the disaster didn't just exhaust them physically, but left them feeling emotionally hollow and powerless, which deepens the impact of the scene.
Yet neighbors supported each other unreservedly.
Now, let's focus on the word unreservedly. It means without holding anything back, or doing something fully and openly.
So how is it used in the text?
In the essay, neighbors supported each other unreservedly, meaning they helped wholeheartedly, without hesitation or selfish limits, even after the disaster.
Does it imply trust too?
Yes, very much. It suggests generosity and sincerity, showing that in hard times, the community acted with complete openness and compassion.
Near the estuary, fishing boats lay broken, but life had to go on.
Let's look at the word estuary. An estuary is the place where a river meets the sea, and fresh water mixes with salt water.
Why is that location important in the story?
Good observation. Estuaries are often centers of fishing and trade. So when the text mentions broken boats near the estuary, it highlights economic loss and disrupted livelihoods.
Is it different from a river mouth?
Yes, a river mouth is just the end of a river, but an estuary is a broader, tidal area, making the damage there especially meaningful.
The mayor called a meeting to discuss rational rebuilding measures.
Let's examine the word rational. Rational means based on clear thinking, logic, and careful judgment, rather than emotion or impulse.
How does that fit the meeting in the story?
The mayor calls for rational rebuilding measures, meaning plans that are practical, realistic, and efficient, especially when resources are limited after the storm.
So is it the opposite of emotional decisions?
Exactly. It suggests setting aside panic or anger and choosing reasonable solutions that will help the community recover in the long term.
But young volunteers kept bandying words with the older fishermen, arguing over priorities.
Now let's look at the phrase, bandying words with. It means exchanging words back and forth, often in an argumentative or lively way.
Does it always mean they're fighting?
Not necessarily. It can be playful or serious. But in this text, it suggests heated debate between young volunteers and older fishermen.
Why didn't the author just say arguing?
Good question. Bandying words with sounds more dynamic and verbal, emphasizing the back-and-forth clash of opinions rather than a simple disagreement.
Donations arrived quickly, especially from a sought-after charity group, giving hope to the residents.
Let's focus on the phrase sought after. When something is sought after, it means it is highly desired and actively looked for by many people.
Why is the charity group described that way?
Because the group has a strong reputation. Many communities want their help, so their donations carry extra trust and hope.
Does it imply quality?
Yes. Calling something sought after suggests it is valued, reliable, and in demand, not just popular by chance.
It is tempting to think that we can rebuild overnight, one villager sighed, but resources are limited.
Now, let's examine the phrase, tempting to think that. It means an idea that feels attractive or comforting, even if it may not be realistic.
How is it used in the story?
A villager says it's tempting to think they can rebuild overnight. This shows a hopeful but unrealistic belief during a difficult time.
So is the speaker warning us?
Exactly. The phrase gently signals self-awareness, reminding readers that hope must be balanced with practical limits like time and resources.
A lucky few received a windfall of insurance payouts, while others had nothing.
Let's look at the word windfall. A windfall is a sudden and unexpected gain, usually money or benefits that someone did not plan for.
How does it apply in the text?
The essay says a lucky few received a windfall of insurance payouts, meaning they suddenly got financial relief after the disaster.
Does it suggest fairness?
Not really. It highlights unequal outcomes. Because, while some benefited unexpectedly, others received nothing at all.
The reconstruction projects would span across several villages.
Now, let's focus on the word span. Span means to extend across a period of time or a physical area.
How is it used in the essay?
The text says the reconstruction projects would span several villages, showing that rebuilding would be wide-ranging and long-term, not limited to one place.
So it suggests scale.
Exactly. Span emphasizes the breadth and seriousness of the recovery effort.
And temporary shelters began to sprawl over the open fields.
Let's examine the phrase sprawl over. It means to spread out in a loose, untidy, or uncontrolled way across an area.
How does that fit the shelters in the story?
The temporary shelters sprawl over the open fields, showing how quickly and imperfectly they were set up to meet urgent needs.
Does it sound negative?
Slightly. Yes. It suggests disorder and necessity, emphasizing emergency conditions rather than careful planning.
One documentary about the town became a smash hit, drawing nationwide sympathy.
Now, let's look at the phrase smash hit. A smash hit is something that becomes extremely successful and popular in a short time.
What was the smash hit in the story?
The documentary about the town became a smash hit, meaning it attracted huge attention and praise nationwide.
Is the phrase formal?
Not really. It's informal and expressive, which helps convey just how strong and sudden the public response was.
But not everyone was honest. Outsiders tried to con villagers by offering fake repair services.
Let's focus on the word con. To con someone means to trick or deceive them, usually in order to take their money or gain an advantage.
How is it used in the story?
Outsiders tried to con villagers by offering fake repair services, taking advantage of people who were vulnerable after the disaster.
Is it a strong or negative word?
Yes. Very. Con clearly implies dishonesty and exploitation, which deepens the sense of injustice in the text.
Worse, one flood too many made people suspicious of promises.
Now, let's examine the phrase, one flood too many. This expression means a final event that pushes people beyond their limit of patience or trust.
So it's not just about the flood itself.
Exactly. It suggests that people had already endured many disasters, and this last flood broke their remaining confidence.
What effect does it have on the community?
It explains why residents became suspicious of promises, showing emotional exhaustion rather than just physical damage.
In his hand, a fisherman carried a fat book of storm records, hoping lessons would be learned.
Let's look at the phrase fat book. Here. Fat doesn't mean heavy with food, but thick and full of content.
What does the book represent in the story?
The fisherman's fat book of storm records suggests many years of disasters and hard-earned experience.
So it's symbolic.
Yes. It symbolizes accumulated memory and lessons, and the hope that people will finally learn from the past.
Some officials looked contrite when accused of neglect.
Now, let's focus on the word contrite. Contrite means feeling sincerely sorry or guilty for something wrong you have done.
How is it used in the essay?
Some officials looked contrite when accused of neglect, suggesting they appeared remorseful about their failures.
Does it mean they truly changed?
Not necessarily. The word can imply appearance as much as feeling, leaving readers to question whether the regret is genuine.
While others' corruption stories made citizens feel chilled to the bone.
Let's look at the phrase, feel chilled to the bone. It's an idiom meaning deeply shocked, frightened, or unsettled.
Why does it say that in the story?
Citizens felt chilled to the bone when they heard corruption stories, showing that the news affected them emotionally and morally, not physically.
So it's not about cold weather.
Exactly. It's figurative, emphasizing intense discomfort or horror caused by what they learned.
A few cheeky reporters.
Now, let's examine the word cheeky. Cheeky means bold or disrespectful in a playful or audacious way.
How is it used in the story?
A few cheeky reporters blamed the victims themselves, meaning they were brazen and insensitive, crossing social norms for attention.
So it's not just rudeness.
Right.
Cheeky combines boldness with a hint of humor or audacity. But here it underscores inappropriate behavior during a serious situation.
Even brazenly blamed the victims themselves.
Let's focus on the word brazenly. Brazenly means doing something boldly and without shame, often in a way that shocks others.
How does it apply in the story?
The reporters brazenly blamed the victims, meaning they openly acted without regard for ethics or sensitivity.
Is it similar to cheeky?
Related, but stronger. Brazenly emphasizes shameless audacity, showing the reporter's behavior was blatantly disrespectful.
Meanwhile, certain construction companies just wanted to crank out cheap houses.
Let's look at the phrase crank out. It means to produce something quickly, often without much care or quality.
How is it used in the essay?
Certain construction companies just wanted to crank out cheap houses, meaning they were focused on speed and profit rather than safety or quality.
So it has a negative sense.
Yes, it implies careless mass production, highlighting neglect of the residents' rights and well-being.
Showing complete elision with the rights of the poor.
Let's examine the phrase elision with the rights of in the text. Here, elision means deliberate omission or ignoring something important.
So the construction companies were ignoring the rights of the poor.
Exactly. They showed complete elision with the rights of the poor, meaning they neglected or skipped over their responsibilities toward vulnerable people.
Is it the same as breaking the law?
Not necessarily illegal, but it highlights moral or ethical negligence, emphasizing their disregard for justice and fairness.
At night, a teenager sat by the ruins, lost in wool gathering.
Let's look at the word wool gathering. It means daydreaming or being lost in thought, not paying attention to the immediate surroundings.
Why is the teenager described this way in the story?
He was sitting by the ruins. Wool gathering, meaning he was reflecting quietly or letting his mind wander despite the chaos around him.
So it's not negative.
Not necessarily. It often shows contemplation or imagination, giving a sense of personal reflection in a difficult time.
Watching a child toss a twirling toy in the air.
Let's focus on the word twirling. Twirling means spinning or rotating quickly, often in a playful or graceful way.
How is it used in the story?
The child was tossing a toy twirling in the air, which shows innocence and simple joy amid the ruins.
Does it have any deeper meaning here?
Yes. It contrasts with the destruction around, symbolizing resilience and the persistence of small joys even in hard times.
Social media was still full of drivel.
Let's look at the word drivel. Drivel means silly, pointless, or meaningless talk.
How is it used in the story?
The text says social media was full of drivel, meaning it was cluttered with trivial or distracting content, even while serious rebuilding was happening.
So it's a negative word.
Yes. It conveys frustration with useless chatter, highlighting the contrast between noise online and the real. quiet efforts of the townspeople.
But in the heart of the town, people quietly vowed to rebuild no matter how long it took.
Next, let's listen to the entire passage one more time without interruption, so you can better appreciate the meaning,
Tone.
and flow of the article.
The coastal town lay quiet after the typhoon. People's strength seemed eviscerated, yet neighbors supported each other unreservedly. Near the estuary, fishing boats lay broken, but life had to go on. The mayor called a meeting to discuss rational rebuilding measures. But young volunteers kept bandying words with the older fishermen, arguing over priorities. Donations arrived quickly, especially from a sought-after charity group, giving hope to the residents. It is tempting to think that we can rebuild overnight, one villager sighed, but resources are limited. A lucky few received a windfall of insurance payouts, while others had nothing. The reconstruction projects would span across several villages, and temporary shelters began to sprawl over the open fields. One documentary about the town became a smash hit, drawing nationwide sympathy. But not everyone was honest. Outsiders tried to con villagers by offering fake repair services. Worse, one flood too many made people suspicious of promises. In his hand, a fisherman carried a fat book of storm records, hoping lessons would be learned. Some officials looked contrite when accused of neglect, while others' corruption stories made citizens feel chilled to the bone. A few cheeky reporters even brazenly blamed the victims themselves. Meanwhile, certain construction companies just wanted to crank out cheap houses, showing complete elision with the rights of the poor. At night, a teenager sat by the ruins, lost in wool gathering, watching a child toss a twirling toy in the air. Social media was still full of drivel, but in the heart of the town, people quietly vowed to rebuild no matter how long it took.
That brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for your attention and participation. I hope this article has given you both language insight and something to think about.
See you next time.